Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining TopCon Solutions Store's webcast this morning on Autodesk Account Management, Product Management, and Licensing 2020. My name is Diana Alarcon, and I am the Events Coordinator here at TopCon Solutions Store. On behalf of everyone here at TopCon Solutions, I would like to sincerely express that I hope you are all safe and in good health and remain so throughout this time. So thank you again for joining us this morning. Before we officially start the presentation, I would like to go over a few housekeeping items. Should you have any questions throughout the presentation, please reference your control panel from GoToWebinar and type in any questions under the questions pane. We will do our very best to answer any and all questions for you. This webinar will be recorded and will be available for your reference later on today on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, and on our website. When referencing our website, topconsolutions.com, if you hover over one of the tabs, there is a videos segment there, and next to that is the You're Invited tab, where you may reference any upcoming webinars that you may be interested as well. So should you need to reference this video afterwards, once again, it is being recorded. So with that being said, it is my pleasure to introduce our presenter this morning, Paul Stuva. Paul, go ahead and take it away.
Thanks, Diana. You able to hear me all right?
Yes, loud and clear.
Perfect. Okay. Well, good morning, everybody, and thanks for coming to the webinar today. Figured it'd been a little bit since we'd done one of these licensing webinars, and it was probably about time with all the changes coming up and everything that's changed here in the last couple of years. So real quickly, just who I am. My name is Paul Stuva. I am our software support manager here at TopCon Solutions. I help with Autodesk, Bluebeam, and TopCon software technical support, primarily in the licensing, activation, and product troubleshooting sections. So this webinar is very much right in my wheelhouse. So with that, let's go ahead and take a quick look at what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to start off going over the current license types, our current license models, explaining what they are, when and if they're going to be disappearing here soon, as some of you might have heard. And then we will go immediately into user management, go through who has what access, how to get that access, who can assign it, followed by product management. How do we find the product that you've assigned users, and which users can actually see the product versus which can't. And then we'll go into activating said products and services. And then finally, we'll close it out with upcoming changes from Autodesk, and then how our technical support can help, just in case you have any requests or need. So let's go ahead and get rolling. We'll jump right into license types. So where are we now? The current license models with Autodesk fall under one of three categories. We have our single user subscription. This essentially came along and replaced our standalone from our old maintenance and perpetual plans. And with single user subscription, a assigned seat, so a seat assigned to an end user, will actually manage access and manage their ability to see and download product. There's no serial number or product key necessary anymore to activate these products. It is all managed by an actual user sign-in. And these users can download both their assigned product and any add-ins or updates related to the product. The next model is going to be the multi-user or network subscription. With this one, a license file hosted on a central server manages our actual product access. So any of our end product or point products such as Revit, AutoCAD, Civil 3D, any of the major ones. The cloud services are going to be managed via the user sign-in. We'll get into that in just a moment. This one only requires a server name to activate. When you launch it for the first time, you will not need to enter a serial number or a product key. You'll just need to make sure that you know where your license file is hosted and what that machine name is. Usually it's your central server, and 9 times out of 10, it's as simple as server. So next up, these users cannot download a signed product or related add-ins and updates. They have no visibility to it. It's assumed that a central admin will manage a lot of those downloads and updates and push them out to the team. This was a choice that was made by Autodesk sometime in the last year. And as such, if you have any multi-user seats, this is why they can't see their product when they log in. The new note, and we'll cover this a little bit towards the end of the presentation, we open up for questions. The multi-user network subscription licenses will be discontinuing as of August 7th, 2021. That date had been moved due to the current shelter in place we have going on, and it may still be subject to change, but as for right now, Autodesk has officially announced as of August 7th, 2021, multi-user network subscriptions will be going away. So the last license model is our maintenance. We still have a lot of users on maintenance. It's that perpetual model. These ones are split into network and standalone, so those classic names that you're used to seeing. Again, with the network, license files hosted on a central server, and it manages the product access. In the case of a maintenance product, serial numbers are required to activate for versions 2016 and earlier. The next piece of the maintenance is the standalone, as I had mentioned, and once again, serial number and product key are required to activate these. Not very many people are sitting on maintenance anymore. Those few that are have called in pretty regularly to try and make sure that this activation method still works, because Autodesk is obviously moving into the assigned user and sign in for activation. So if you are on maintenance still and you're having any issues activating or getting products up and running, that's something we can definitely help with. Another note on maintenance, just like the subscription network licenses, these ones are going to be discontinued as well. And that date as of current is posted for May 7th, 2021. So right around this time next year. So I'll answer questions regarding what that is and what that's going to look like for customers here in just a bit. So go ahead and post those questions if you have any, and we'll get around to them when we get to that point. So next up, you know what type of seat you have. Now, how do you get in to verify what you have and download, activate, and actually use the product? So the Autodesk management account is the primary place that you're going to be accessing all of your products. And for those admin levels, any users, contracts, billing and orders, all that kind of jazz. So manage.autodesk.com is the direct website. You can also get there just by logging in at the autodesk.com page. And once logged in, clicking manage my products and downloads at the top of the page. Either one will get you there. This one's just a little bit quicker. So next we're going to cover what access levels we have. We have the primary admin, secondary admin, and then finally our named user. So our primary admin. Primary admins are set up by default from Autodesk, and when they're set up, it's usually at time of purchase. The primary admin has the ability to manage users and the access that they have to the softwares they're assigned. They can assign secondary admins, and they have the ability to change the primary admin. So you can, and we'll go over it here in just a moment, actually change it right in the Autodesk account and make it so that just in case maybe you don't want to manage those seats if you purchased them, you can hand it off to somebody who does. Then the final piece here, they can only manage billing and renewals if they are also posted as the contract manager. This was the classic admin account name. What happens is when an order is processed, you have a contract manager who is associated with the actual contract, and then a primary admin is created for user management. So those two roles are still separate. I expect that they're eventually going to merge, but for right now, you'll want to make sure if you want to look at those billing and renewals and any of the order history in the Autodesk account that you sign up there. So any additional information for the primary admin, there can only be one primary admin per account, and per account is per contract, because you can have multiple contracts under a company, and each contract can be associated with what's called a team. And we'll go over what teams are here in the user management here shortly. But keeping it simple, there can only be one primary admin per account. We'll get into the minutia of that here in just a moment. The primary admin role can be reassigned to somebody else. As we discussed, it is available. It's very quick. It's very easy. You'll see here in a moment. The primary admin cannot be an admin for multiple accounts. Again, noting on primary admin per account. And you can change the primary admin in the Autodesk account, and you'll see that here in just a moment. So next up is the secondary admin. Not a whole lot of difference from the primary admin with a few key points here. They can manage users and access to their software, just like the primary admin. They can assign additional secondary admins, and they have the ability to change the primary admin. So this is where we get a little bit different from our previous model where we had our contract manager and our software coordinator. Only the contract manager could create new software coordinators. And the reason this is so, will come up here in just a second. Again, you can only manage the billing and renewal if they're also a contract manager. So by default, when a order goes through, a contract manager is associated. That contract manager account is not set up as the primary admin. You actually have to identify who the primary admin is at time of purchase. The secondary admin will show up by default, and that's usually your contract manager. If it has been set up as the same as the primary admin, then your primary admin may also be your contract manager. But by default, whoever is in charge of the billing and renewal, if it's different from the primary admin, they will come up default as a secondary admin. And I'll show you what that looks like. Not sure why that choice was made. You would think primary versus contract manager should be the same. But as you can see here, you can assign multiple secondary admins, and you can actively change the primary admin as a secondary admin. So the control is still there just in case that needs to be modified. You can have multiple secondary admins. Another big change from our old software coordinator model. You can have as many secondary admins as you want. This has opened up the floor for a lot of IT managers, maybe different department heads, that kind of thing, being able to get in, manage user access without necessarily having a bottleneck for that one person who you hope is in the office or responding when you need to make those changes. The secondary admin has visibility into all users and products in the account or assigned team. And again, we'll look at teams here in just a moment. So really cut and dry there. You can see who is in the account, who's assigned products. Secondary admin basically, again, has all the same function as the primary admin. Secondary admins cannot be admin for multiple accounts, so meaning multiple different companies, that kind of thing. And next, we're going to roll over into the named user. So the named user is your end user. These are the people you're assigning seats to. So primarily, this is going to reflect on the single user seats, and moving forward, as Autodesk is discontinuing the other models, everything's going to become this single user, named user setup. So the named user doesn't have a whole lot that they need to deal with. They're able to manage products and services in their own Autodesk account. And when an administrator assigns them any product, they will get an email confirming how they can access their account or how they can create their account if needed. And it is worth noting, the email address used when you create a user account from the Autodesk management site must be the same email that they're going to be using to access the product. A lot of times a personal email is being used by the end user, or maybe the email has a misspelling or something to that extent. So always verify with your end user, make sure your spelling is correct, make sure that they are using the proper email to access according to what you have assigned them. So we'll go ahead and roll into user management, who's who and what do they need kind of thing. So let's go ahead and take a peek. We have, as you are aware, the 3 levels of access: our primary admin, our secondary admin, and our named user. Primary admin has access to everything. Secondary admin has access to just about everything. with regards to those teams that we were talking about earlier. And then named user has access to only assigned products and available updates for those products. So we'll bump on over here and we'll take a peek at the Autodesk management account. So for confidentiality reasons, I've gone ahead and done some screenshots here for the user management. So we're going to roll through some static screenshots here, pick some clicks, see what it all looks like, and then we'll actually roll into the Autodesk account here in just a moment and we'll go through the product list. So here's our Autodesk management account. When you log in at manage.autodesk.com, it'll bring you here to the home page. The user management section on the left is where we're going to be jumping into. You have 3 categories: by user, by product, and classic user management. The by user and by product are for your subscription seats. The classic user management is for your maintenance seats. And some of you who are in here a little bit more often than others will also notice that any of your current multi-user subscription seats are still showing under the classic user management as well. So the by user and the by product section at current only have access to those single user, those named user seats. So next we'll roll over to the by user section and we'll take a look here. So right there at the top, you'll notice here's our team. So as I said, we discussed this real quick. Teams are created automatically when you have an account created with a subscription login. So when you have any seats purchased under a single user model or the named user model as we're going forward, a team will be created, and generally it's going to be the same name as the contract manager or the primary admin. That team name will come in, and in my case, it would be Paul Stuva followed by a hyphen, and currently they're appending 4 digits. So it would read team Paul Stuva hyphen 0000 kind of thing. The teams are created and they are assigned to each contract. As a contract is associated with the team, that dictates who can see what for that team. So if you have multiple, say, subsidiaries that you might own, as some of our customers do, they set up separate team names for each of the different subsidiaries, and then we just make sure that the contracts for each subsidiary are merged with the correct team. So that allows secondary admins to be set up within each team, and they can only see users and products associated with that team. They're not going to see anything associated with maybe another subsidiary or another group. Same kind of thing, you could break it down by department if you have multiple departments that are purchasing contracts, but the teams has added a level of granularity to the user control that allows you to have that secondary admin set up with multiple admins across maybe multiple departments, multiple subsidiaries, what have you. So it's a really cool new feature. It's really easy to work with, and if you have any questions about it, we can answer a few more of those at the end, but that's almost its own little webinar. So next we'll roll over into what user accounts will look like. So you'll see down below, we have our primary admin tile right here under my name and my email. There's a whole bunch of me going on in here. And then we have our secondary admin showing up under my evil twin here in the corner. And this is how the tiles will indicate. You'll also notice here that some of these users actually have little icons. This indicates that a product is assigned, and this indicates that services are assigned. And we'll see what the difference is there here in just a moment. The next piece you'll need to know when in here on the by user section is the add user. So in order to add users, the pane will open up here, and the formatting for adding a user is real simple. It's first name, comma, last name, comma, email. Once you've done that, it's going to create a little icon, and you send the end users an invite. Once you've sent the end users an invite, their account tile is going to show up down here, very similar to these other ones, and it'll say pending on it. That pending isn't actually pending an acceptance of an invite or anything to that extent. It's just waiting for that user to log into the Autodesk account. So if they have an Autodesk account under the email you've set up, they'll automatically be able to just log right in, see the product associated, and we'll see what that looks like in a moment. If they don't, they'll be prompted to create an account using the email that they've received. So next we'll look at, when we click on the user tile, what does this look like? So you'll notice right off the bat, here's all my products. On the left-hand side, we have that secondary admin field. This is where I was talking about it's really easy to just change your secondary admin or your primary admin. By clicking on that field, you get a quick drop down, and right here, I can change the primary admin, I can change the secondary admin, or I can make myself a user. End users who are assigned access don't see the other two options. All they see is they are a user. If you're a secondary admin or a primary admin though, you do have the availability to change these access levels depending on what you need. Next, we'll look at what do the products actually have in them. So when you look at a product and you expand it, the very first things you're going to see are the individually assigned items. These individually assigned items were previously referred to as service seats. These are essentially all of your web or your cloud services. This is where you assign access to those cloud services that you have associated with your account. So each product has a few cloud services that are associated with it. The AEC collection here obviously includes quite a bit more than just a single product, and thereby you have a very full selection of cloud services that you can assign to an end user. You'll notice too that if you scroll down a little bit further, this is the product access that it actually comes with. The product access is all of your point products on the machine that you're going to be using, or machines if you have multiple. One of the joys of the single user model is that we no longer have to worry about activation limits. Because you're signing in, you're managing your access by that sign in. So you can theoretically have 3 or 4 machines that you've installed on a home machine, a mobile laptop, a work machine, and you can sign in on any one of them without needing to worry about over-activating. So the next section that we're going to be looking at over here is our by product section. So the by product is going to break it down, obviously, looking at it here, by those products that are associated with whichever team you're currently on. And again, we're on our TopCon Solutions Inc. team here. So down below, in this case, we're going to look at one of those cloud services, the BIM 360 design. And when we click on that tile, it's going to open up and it's going to show me everybody who is assigned to that contract, or to that product rather. Now, this is a quick and easy way. You don't have to filter like you used to have to in the classic user management. You can just literally go right into the by product, find your user, check what, or find your product and check what users are assigned. So looking here, I've got a seat. And then we're going to be looking at when I have that seat and it's been assigned, what does it look like when I go into my products and services? What does the end user actually see? So at this point, I'd like to open up just for a few questions if we have any. I know that the user management section, and I don't want to get too many questions built up here towards the end, but does anybody have any lingering questions or any anything they want clarified for the user management section there? And Diana, are we seeing any questions?
At this time, no, but I will give it another few seconds here to see if anyone has any questions.
Okay. We try to keep it clear and concise, but I like to make sure people have the opportunity to ask if they need it.
No incoming questions at this time.
Okay, sounds good. Let's go ahead and keep rolling. So next up is product management. So once you've assigned access, once you've set up your users, what does it look like for them to get into their account? What does it look like for them to access? Able to see all seats that are assigned. They're going to be able to see all users and contracts. The secondary admin is going to be able to see all products associated with the teams that they are associated with. So by default, if you haven't modified or changed it at all, they're going to see everything that the primary admin can see. Next up is the single user, or named user model. They can see only those products which they've been assigned. They can access, download, and activate. And finally, we have the multi-user network seats. They can access all assigned cloud services. So those service seats we were talking about earlier. When you assign a license to a multi-user seat, you're not actually controlling activation of their products. That's still the license server. You're actually giving them access to log into a cloud service, such as your cloud rendering or AutoCAD mobile, that kind of platform. So let's go ahead and take a peek real quick at what the Autodesk account looks like. So I'm signing in as a primary admin. Let's see if it'll take it and roll. Let's do a quick refresh. There we go. So by default, when I sign in, we have our home page, which is going to drop us right here to let us know anything that's been recently purchased or anything that's been recently updated or allowed in the last 30 days. It'll also give me a quick overview of any support cases I have. But what we're interested in right now is right over here, our all products and services. So you might have to give it a moment because I've got just about everything under the sun in here. Okay, loaded a bit quicker than we got. Perfect. So this is what you're going to see. It's going to be very similar for the primary, secondary, and for the named user. So the primary admin is going to see everything. And in this case, we mean everything. So if we come down here, obviously as a reseller, we've got a little bit more than most, but the secondary admin is also going to see anything that's associated here with the teams. The named user, on the other hand, is only going to see those seats that have been assigned to them. So they will see their architecture, engineering, construction collection, or their AutoCAD, including specialized tool sets collection, or any of the point products if you're buying just a regular point product. Once you've logged into the account, at this point, if they're single user, or if you as a secondary admin or primary admin are getting ready to install product or download and create deployments, it's as simple as going into either the view downloads, if you have the point product, or if you're working with a collection, going into view items on the right. Once you've clicked view items for those collections, same button as a regular point product, you have your view downloads on the far right here. So I'm going to go ahead and come down to Revit because I've already got it downloaded and ready for activation in the background, but this is where users will come in. They'll find their view downloads for the product that they're working with. Whoop, not recap, I said Revit. Let's go ahead and learn to read a little bit better today. Here we go. So once you've come in here, you have your download options. You have your pick your version year, current +3 back, pick your platform, pick your language, and then download. Now you'll notice here we have the download now button. We also have a view all underneath. There are multiple options for downloading and installing. We tend to recommend the download now just because it's usually the most efficient, but it does go fast, middle, and slow. Slow obviously is always the most reliable. Right in the middle gets you about pretty good performance. The install now tends to go pretty quick, but if you have any issues with your internet connection or anything that might be occurring, such as an update, it can cause issues with the install. So if you can guarantee nothing's going to interrupt it, run with the install now, but we do recommend the download now method. So once you've downloaded, it's going to go ahead and drop a executable, well, a package on your machine with an executable that's going to run the actual setup. Otherwise, we closed that a little too quick. We wanted to look at our updates and add-ons tab. So this is the easiest way for users to find their updates and add-ons, and admins to find their updates and add-ons by product when logging in. Logging in here, finding your specific product, clicking on view downloads, and then coming over to the updates and add-ons. Right here is everything that is relevant to, in this case, Revit. And not just Revit 2021, but Revit all the way back to 2018, so our current subscription period. In here, you can add filters. You can break it down by version year. You can break it down by the language. If there's different language packs, you can break it down by the update type. Obviously here it's just update. Sometimes you'll see hotfix or service pack depending on the product and what its development cycle looks like. But once you have your product and your update required identified, you just do download. You don't really have much more options other than the browser download, generally because most of these are under a gig, and most of the time they're well under a gig. But downloading them here will download an executable or an MSI file that you can then run and deploy across your team, or if it's just for you locally at home or at your workstation, quick download and then apply your update. The other area to view downloads and updates, remember it's only available for primary admins, secondary admins, and named users. Any network licenses or assigned network licenses will not see updates. But the other area you can find it, just a real quick search to see if you have the Autodesk desktop app installed. The Autodesk desktop app is going to have you sign in, and then it's going to actively check which products you have installed on your system, and it will tell you what updates are available for those products. So that's product management and how to identify what end users have. It's generally a good practice to make sure that users, once they've been assigned a product, sign into the Autodesk account and confirm that they actually have the seats available that they're going to be using. Generally, if they log in and they've been assigned a seat and there's some issue or maybe something needs to be synced on the back end because it didn't connect quite right, or maybe the email was incorrect or they signed up under a different email and they're trying to access using a personal email. But any of the above, it's a good practice to have them log in, double check that product list, because all they'll generally see is a storage item, and that's that free Autodesk web storage that every Autodesk account has access to. Okay, so after product management, obviously, once you've got your product downloaded, how do you activate it? Most of us are familiar with the activation process. Grab your serial number, grab your product key, plug it in and go. That has changed, and it is causing quite a bit of a headache for a majority of users. We don't use serial numbers or product keys anymore, except in the case of people still on maintenance, and as of May next year, that's going to be going away as well. So no more serial numbers and product keys. Instead, end users are logging in. There's no information needed during install. You don't need to put in a serial number. You don't need to put in a product key. You don't even need to sign in. You just need to download your product, run your installer. Once it's done, it's going to prompt for activation after you launch it the first time. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead, and I have downloaded and installed Revit for us, and we're going to do a quick initial launch. And I might need to drop my PowerPoint. Let's go ahead and do that. So now Revit is running in the background. First open. We'll see it coming up here. You'll see down in the bottom right-hand corner that immediately, now that it detects Revit, that Autodesk desktop app is showing me I have 7 updates ready to go. Revit's going to sit here, attempt to connect. It'll open up. This is opening a lot faster than I thought it would. I'm thankful for that. Now you'll notice in this case, I opened right up. I was hoping to get the prompt, but I have already activated a 2021 product on here, so it already knows who I am. It automatically activated for me. I didn't have to do anything. In this case, I'm going to do a quick change license type, and this is the screen that you're going to be looking for. Initially, it's going to have a sign-in field up top here where it's currently showing switch user, or we have the enter serial number and use a network license. So the enter serial number should only be used if you're on a maintenance perpetual contract, a standalone product. Otherwise, your network license, regardless of subscription or maintenance, if you have a network license, this is what you click, and then it's going to prompt you for that server name. Or if you're a single user on subscription, moving into that named user view, this is where you're going to be clicking sign in. You'll sign in with your Autodesk account after verifying that you see the product in your account. And at that point, it should activate right up. And you'll notice, like I said, I've already activated something on my system under my login. So when I went to launch the product, it didn't even prompt me for activation. It checked my login, checked to see if I had an associated seat, and it opened it right up for me. That's ideally just how easy the process should be for you and your end users. So we'll jump back in. We're getting towards the end of our time here. So with that, talking about those upcoming changes again, that discontinuation of service, we're going to go ahead and go through what we have coming up, what we have to expect, and who you can ask for questions, because there will be a lot of questions and there have been so far. So May 7th, 2020, Autodesk is launching new subscription plans, and they're based on that single user, that named user view. They're getting rid of the serial numbers. Maintenance plans, so those perpetual seats and those items are going to be retired next year, May 7th, 2021, and will not be able to be renewed. Subscriptions with multi-user, so network access, are going to be retiring August 7th, 2021, and cannot be further renewed. Then, as part of removing or retiring the maintenance, the design and creation suites, so those suite products that you've been downloading, are going to be discontinued. Actually, I believe, yes, they have already been discontinued. They're still available for download for customers who have already renewed for this year, but the suites will be disappearing from the account. You will not have access to download them and use them going forward. Good news to replace that, Autodesk is coming out with the deployment creation tool in the Autodesk account where we can actually merge products for download and install, so we can create our own packages going forward. So for those of you who have been dealing with installing 5, 6, 7 different products rather than just running one installer, hopefully we're getting a tool here soon that's going to be nice and robust where we can rebuild those packages and actually have deployment tools again. Then starting this year in February, the 2- and 3-year multi-user access is no longer being sold or being allowed to renew. Starting August 7th, they're no longer going to sell new annual subscriptions for multi-user access. Again, these dates have already been modified. We will see how this shelter in place continues forward. But as of right now, this is what Autodesk is posting. So resources, who can you reach out to if you have questions? Obviously, I'll be able to answer some questions myself and my tech team, but ideally, we want you calling our account executives here at TopCon Solutions. These are the guys that deal with the licensing and the plans and the pricing. They know this stuff inside and out. So do call and reach out to them or email us at info@topconsolutions.com with any questions you have regarding your contracts and what to expect going forward. The other area that you can use, Autodesk has a transition to name user FAQ post up. You can just Google that line right there, or when this recording comes out later, you can grab the URL here. But the FAQ has all of the details in it, and then they're asking people to post questions there so that they can respond accordingly. So finally, TopCon Solutions support, how can we help you with what we've covered here today? New and existing customers, we do an Autodesk account guided tour. So basically what I've taken you through here, but we'll look at your account, your assets, your seats, your users, make sure that you're set up the way you need to be and that you are using everything effectively. Our tech team otherwise can assist with product downloads, installation, and activation. License changes, so if you're moving from that multi-user or that maintenance license over to a named user, single user. We also help with product performance and troubleshooting, making sure that once you've got it installed and launched, that it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. And then finally, as you're working in the product, we do help largely with drawing and model recovery. I say where possible there, because obviously sometimes our models like to curl up in the fetal position and just stay there. Doesn't happen very often, but it does. And so hopefully we can get in there and help you coax them back into a standing position. So finally, here's how to reach out to our technical support. I am, again, our support manager. You can get a hold of me or any of my team. Either dial us at 877-774-4897, or you can email us at softwaresupport@topconsolutions.com. So at this point, does anybody have any questions, comments, anything that they would like to cover and or see before we get ready to wrap up?
No incoming questions at this time, Paul, but maybe we can give everyone a few seconds here. Okay, it appears that we have no incoming questions at
Okay,
this time.
fair enough. Welcome surprise. So if you do have any questions, feel free. Contact information's right here. Reach out. Otherwise, enjoy your weekend, stay safe, and thanks for attending.